Welcome back to GarageBand Weekly for yet another week here on Studio Live today. This is our live weekly show dedicated 100% to GarageBand and GarageBand adjacent topics. My name is Pete, and this is Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record, and release your best music. And GarageBand just happens to be one of the platforms that I like to use. In this week's video, we'll be talking a little iOS 14 rumors and news. My rant of the week, I'll be talking about why you should and maybe shouldn't use GarageBand. And our plugin of the week is something super cool that I get asked about an awful lot. So let's dive in, though, with the news and the notes. And this is where if I had some sound effects, I would play crickets. Because there really hasn't been any. So I'm going to make my own news and notes this week and talk about a couple of things that you may want to be aware of in the world of GarageBand. So here's just a quick update. iOS 14 is rumored to be coming out in September 2020. So this is the next big major update to iOS. We've just had iOS 13.4, which dropped a couple of weeks ago. That brought with it some new functionality-ish. The main move there was that we got the new cursors, which are actually, I'm getting used to. They've got some functionality. I don't really feel that they do a whole lot more. But then again, I'm not using the magic trackpad or the magic mouse. So all of the fanciness, I don't really get in my regular micing. But yeah, that was a small update. However, iOS 14 is apparently going to change a whole lot of things. Rumors, speculation, innuendo about what it's going to change, but nothing hard. The one thing I thought was interesting is that the way that apps work and the way that apps are displayed may be changing. So we may, for the very first time, get some sort of scrolling ability. So to be able to have it on your first screen and not have to flick across through all your screens and just have that standard grid. Rumor has it that we may have some other sort of ways of looking at apps. So what do you think of that? If you're like me, you're so used to the grid in iOS land that, yeah, maybe you wouldn't want to change from that. I don't know. Is it just me? Am I the only creature of habit that doesn't like change? Maybe not. In terms of other changes that are going to impact music creators, we don't really know. But the other big one is that will the iPhone 12 have a Lightning connector, or will they finally move over to USB-C? And will that shift all of us that are currently using Lightning on our iPhones and iPads into the world of USB-C? That's also still up for speculation. There was strong rumor that the iPhone 11, especially the iPhone 11 Pro, would have USB-C. We didn't see it. It stayed with Lightning. So iPhone 12, who knows? But we'll keep you posted. Watch this space. Mac users, you got nothing. Sorry, there is no new notes or news around Macs or around Mac product lineup since the update to the MacBook Air and Mac Mini that happened a couple of weeks ago. We don't really have anything to add, so apologies for that. The other little bit of news that I wanted to just mention here is that the free plugins. So a lot of the plugin makers decided to put their plugins out for free around the time where all of us went into lockdown, which was a nice thing to do. Those free plugin periods have come to an end for some and are about to end for others. So my bit of advice with this is whenever there's a free plugin available, just download it. You don't have to keep it even, but if you put it in your collection, then you can download it forever. You're going to be able to download it in perpetuitously. That's the word. Forever. So you can go ahead and do that if you need to. If you want to get those free apps, just download them straight away. Don't wait, because all that's going to happen is that they're going to go back to a paid app. So anytime you see this app is free for a limited time, jump on it, download it. Thankfully, I managed to sneak in just in time and download, especially the Nembrini audio. I downloaded all of those apps, but they are so good that if you missed out, just buy them anyway. Most of them are about $5, and you'll be supporting a very cool plugin app developer. So there is that. Let's continue on here. Like I said, that was the news and notes because there wasn't a whole lot. So if you've got news or notes about the world of GarageBand and you're here live, or if you're on the replay, then please drop those either in the chat here if you're live or in the comments of the show. We will circle back and we'll answer those through the show and through the week. Excuse me. Let's jump in because I'm going to have a quick rant today. My rant of the week is around what software you should use and whether you should or shouldn't use GarageBand. So here's the thing. GarageBand is something that I choose to use. And quite often I'll get asked by people, or people will come and tell me, they're like, oh, why do you use GarageBand? Don't you know that there's better things out there to use? You should be using Logic, or you should be using Pro Tools. And my response to this is the same to everyone, which is to use what works for you. Use what works for your workflow. Use what makes you happy and what actually makes you create music. I've said this before, I've said it a bunch of times, but it seems that I still get these sort of questions. I still get these sort of comments, which are like, you should use something different. And I say, no, I don't want to use something different. I like the workflow of GarageBand. That's what I choose to use. But we'll take a drink mid-rant. But here's the thing. If you do want to use more things, a lot of people will sort of not want to make a fight with me or argue with me, but they'll want to kind of get a rouse out of me, and they'll want me to defend my choice. And I'm not really going to, for the main reason that if you're a Pro Tools user right now and you're like, I could never use GarageBand because it doesn't have this and this and this and this, then that's cool. Like, that's 100% a logical reason to not use a product. But the problem is, a lot of people that don't use GarageBand, and I've said this before a bunch of times as well, just haven't used it for about 10 years. And it has evolved and grown a lot in the last 10 years. As anyone who's a GarageBand user, and I'm assuming if you're watching a weekly show about GarageBand, you are a GarageBand user. As any of you know, the original version of GarageBand, where John Mayer got up there and, was it John Mayer or something like that, and introduced it with Steve Jobs, that's how long ago it was, you know that it has changed and evolved over time to the point now where it's just a digital audio workstation. It's the same as anything else you're going to use. It just might not have all the functionality and all the features. But here's the other thing. Sometimes having less functionality and less features helps you make better music, because limitation can actually drive creativity. So here's my view on this. For anyone that ever wants to ask, I can point them back to episode 17 of GarageBand Weekly and say, if someone says you should not use GarageBand sucks, GarageBand whatever, it's like, if you're using something and it's helping you make music, keep doing it. If other people are using GarageBand, it's helping them make music, they should keep doing it. That's all I have to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say. So I know I've ranted on that before, but yeah, some weeks I just happen to get more comments and more things like that. So I always want to reiterate that it actually doesn't matter what you're using. Like, no one is ever listening to a song going, this is a great song, but I bet they didn't use Pro Tools. I bet they used a different third-party DAW to record it. No, nobody cares. If it sounds like a cool song, they're going to rock out to it. So let's continue on. What is the tip of the week this week? Well, I'm going to give a generic one, and that is around plugins here. So plugins in GarageBand, there's two ways, obviously, if you've got a Mac or if you've got an iPhone or iPad. So on the Mac, you're looking for audio unit plugins. Now, there's also VST plugins, but they work only on your PC type DAWs. But for your Mac, you're looking for audio unit. So if you find any apps or find any plugins that are AU, they're the ones that are going to work. For your iPhone or iPad, you're looking for any AU V3 or audio unit version 3 plugins. They're the ones you want to look for on the iPhone. And the beauty part is that you can expand out your GarageBand infinitely just by downloading and installing plugins. Now, it's a simple thing to do. Once you have the app either on your Mac for GarageBand or on your iPhone or iPad, it'll show up in your list of plugins under audio units, and all you do is add it, and then you can use it. It's as simple as that. And it's kind of crazy magic voodoo stuff. On the Mac, it kind of makes sense because, you've got a plugins folder, you download the plugins, and then you can use them. But on your iPhone or iPad, you literally just download the app, and then suddenly that plugin is there for you to use. So if you are new to GarageBand, then start downloading some things, some free ones that I like. I like the Rough Rider 3, which is a compressor plugin. You can download and use that one for free right now. And the LRC5 is another great plugin. That's a free EQ plugin. You can also use things like the Nembrini range of free plugins. There's a heap of those. Just search Nembrini, Nembrini. And yeah, go your hardest. There's also 15 free Apple AU plugins. If you want to learn how to use those, just search my name, Pete Johns, Apple AU plugins. You'll find all of those and how to install them on your iPhone or iPad. There's just one little setting there in the advanced settings that says enable iOS plugins. You enable them you go for it. So that is, again, a very simple tip, but something that when you're first starting out, you might not realize. There's all the stock default plugins you have, but the beautiful part is you can expand out your plugin collection to the world by downloading a bunch of plugins. Speaking of plugins, what is my plugin of the week for this week? Well, it is the Brusfri plugin from Klevgrand. Now, I'll normally make my plugin of the week a free plugin just to make sure it's accessible, or at least a cheaper plugin. Brusfri is not a cheap plugin. It's not a free plugin, and it's not even really a cheap plugin. I think it's about $10 US to buy. I can't remember. It's been a while. But what it is, it's a noise reduction plugin. So in the last week particularly, I've had a heap of questions from a heap of folks asking about reducing noise, reducing background noise, reducing hiss, reducing guitar feedback. And all of these things can actually be helped with some noise reduction. Now, the best noise reduction, I've said this before too, the best way to reduce noise is to not capture the noise. So try and eliminate the noise. If you've got hiss, if you've got background noise, try and remove that first. The next best way is to use Brusfri by Klevgrand. So if you are in the situation where you've got some noisy recordings, you want to try and tame those in, you want to try and reduce the noise in your recordings, grab Klevgrand's Brusfri plugin, add it to your tracks, and you should be good to go. And the good part about it is that it works not only as an AU plugin, so you can add it to your tracks, just like we talked about before, like a plugin. It's also a standalone mode. So if you've got a video, you can actually open the video and clean up the audio. Very, very handy. We have raced through it today. Like I said, it's been a bit of a slow news week in the world of GarageBand. But before we finish off, I want to cough. Before we finish off, my resource of the week for this week is Creative Source. Now you might be thinking, Pete, I know Creative Source. I know Mike's channel. He's not a GarageBand guy. Why is that the resource of the week? Well, he's just finished a very cool series called what was it? Record, Mix, Release, I think. And don't worry, he did make sure that I wasn't going to get my knickers in a twist, because I have Create, Record, Release. So his was Record, Mix, Release. But it's a very, very cool series, and it's over on his channel. I have linked to his channel down in the description of this one. In fact, the video I linked to is the reason that I'm looking very tired and sounding a bit croaky today, because I was on his show last night, about 6 hours ago, live here in Australia. And I was a guest on his special live stream, his birthday lockdown live stream. So I just wanted to say happy birthday to Mike over at Creative Source. I hope you had a good day. And thanks for having me on your channel, despite the fact that I probably should have gone to bed 2 hours before that. And then I would actually be able to function better in this show. But it's okay. It kind of kept me on point and kept me focused here today to get through all the news and all the things I wanted to talk about, and we're not wasting any of your time. However, you do want to get over and check out Creative Source, check out the video I did with Mike last night, and then go and watch his Record, Mix, Release series. You will not be disappointed. That is going to do it for today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for being here for another weekly episode of GarageBand Weekly. A little quick one here, but we got through, and I wanted to make sure that, we still had a show here, and you could get your weekly dose of GarageBand news and notes. So thanks for being here, folks, and I'll see you next time.